Imagine for a second that you are standing on a long, fuzzy red carpet. All around you, cameras are clicking like crazy, and the lights are so bright they look like tiny stars. You are at the Academy Awards, which is the biggest party in Hollywood. Everyone there is wearing beautiful dresses and suits. But if you look really closely at their necks and ears, you might see something even more amazing than a movie star. You might see a diamond that is older than the city of Los Angeles. You might see a gold crown that once belonged to a queen from a faraway land. These jewels aren't just pretty rocks. They are like tiny time machines. When an actress wears one, she isn't just showing off a cool outfit. She is carrying a piece of the past with her. Some of these jewels have been in wars, some have lived in giant palaces, and some have been hidden in secret safes for 100 years. Today, we are going to talk about these magical jewels. We will learn how they got to the Oscars and why they are so much more special than anything you could buy at a regular store. It is going to be a story full of mystery, kings, queens, and a whole lot of sparkle. Most of the sparkly jewelry that we see people wear at the big movie awards follows a very easy plan. First, these fancy necklaces and rings are brought out from big, heavy locked rooms. These rooms belong to famous jewelry companies that have been around for a long time. The jewelry gets to come out and play for just a few hours while everyone takes lots of pictures. Then, as soon as the sun comes up the next morning, the jewelry is put right back into a safe where it is hidden away. It is almost like the jewelry is just visiting for a sleepover. But every once in a while, something very different and special shows up under the bright Hollywood lights. Instead of a new necklace, you might see a tiara from a long time ago. This is a special kind of crown that was made way before movies were even a thing. Or you might see a giant diamond that usually stays inside a glass box in a museum so people can look at it. Sometimes, an actress might even wear earrings that used to belong to a real queen from a castle. When a piece of jewelry like that shows up on the red carpet, the whole night feels different. It is not just about clothes anymore. It is like getting a chance to see a little piece of history right in front of your eyes. Before we start talking about all the famous jewels, I want to ask you a question. Do you like to watch the big movie awards on TV? When you watch them, do you look at the shiny jewelry that the stars are wearing? I have to tell you a secret. Sometimes I miss the old days of movies. A long time ago, when actresses wore amazing jewels, those jewels actually belonged to them. They were not just borrowing them for one night like people do now. The jewelry was part of their own life story. It was something they bought themselves or got as a gift from someone they loved. I would love to know what you think about that, so please leave me a note in the comments. Even though things are different now, we still get to see some very cool jewelry moments today. Sometimes, the jewels are so famous that they seem to be telling us a quiet story about the past. They remind us of people and places that are gone but not forgotten. To start our story, we have to go back to a time called the Golden Age of Hollywood. This was a time when movies were very glamorous and everything seemed extra fancy. In the year 1957, something very surprising happened at the Academy Awards. The photographers were taking pictures of a very famous actress named Elizabeth Taylor. She had beautiful dark hair with curls and something was sitting right on top of her head. It was a real diamond tiara. This tiara was very old. It was made in the late 1800s, which is a time people call the Victorian era. Elizabeth Taylor went to the awards on March 27, 1957. She was at a place called the Pantages Theater. She was not there to win an award that night. She was there to give an award to someone else and to cheer for her husband, Mike Todd. He had made a very big movie called Around the World in 80 Days. That movie was trying to win a big prize that evening. Back in the 1950s, everyone in Hollywood loved things that looked big and exciting. The red carpet was full of people in giant dresses and fancy hair. But even with all that fancy stuff, Elizabeth Taylor stood out. People loved her pinkish gold dress, but they couldn't stop looking at the sparkly thing in her hair. It was a tiara made of gold and a metal called platinum. It was covered in hundreds of diamonds that were cut in an old-fashioned way. The diamonds made pretty shapes like loops and flowers. It was very rare to see a movie star wear something so old and valuable. Most of the other stars wore new jewelry that the movie studios gave them. But Elizabeth's tiara was different because it was an antique. If you like looking at old jewelry like this, there is a very cool shop in London called Laurel Antique Jewelry that has pieces from a long time ago. Elizabeth got this tiara as a gift from her husband, Mike Todd. He told her she was his queen, so he thought she should have her very own crown to wear. When Mike Todd gave Elizabeth that tiara, it was a perfect time for it. In the middle of the 1950s, everyone was thinking about crowns and royalty. Just a few years before, a young woman named Elizabeth II became the Queen of England. People all over the world watched her coronation on TV, and saw all the beautiful royal jewels. Also, another movie star named Grace Kelly had just left Hollywood to marry a prince and become a real-life princess. So when Mike Todd gave Elizabeth a tiara, it made sense. That night at the Oscars was a very happy one for Mike and Elizabeth. His movie won the big prize for Best Picture. He was so happy that he even did a little dance in the theater. For a moment, it felt like their life was a real fairy tale full of success and sparkle. But sadly, the story changed very quickly. Only 1 year later, Mike Todd died in a sad plane crash. The tiara that used to be a happy gift became a way for Elizabeth to remember her husband. She kept it for a very long time because it was so special to her. Elizabeth Taylor was famous for having a lot of amazing jewelry, but another actress was also very famous for being elegant. Her name was Grace Kelly. In 1956, she went to the Oscars for the very last time as a movie star. She was about to change her life completely. She had met a prince from a small country called Monaco, and they were going to get married. To be a princess, she had to stop being an actress forever. So when she walked on the red carpet that night, she was saying goodbye to her old life. She wore a beautiful white dress and simple pearl and diamond earrings. She looked very royal and calm. She even wore white gloves that covered her hands. Under those gloves, she was hiding a giant diamond ring that her prince had given her. It was a secret that only she knew about for a little while. The next day, she got on a big ship to go to her new home in Europe. She became Princess Grace, and she traded her Hollywood life for a life in a real palace with historic royal jewels. If we go even further back in time to the year 1947, we can find a very different kind of necklace. This necklace did not actually go on the Oscar stage, but it was worn for pictures during the Oscar season. The actress wearing it was named Katharine Hepburn. She was wearing a necklace that was borrowed from a very famous jeweler named Harry Winston. This necklace was extra special because it was made of giant green stones called emeralds and lots of white diamonds. But what was really strange was how the emeralds were put together. Usually, stones are held in place by little metal claws. But in this necklace, the emeralds had holes drilled through them. They were strung on a wire just like beads. Some people think these emeralds were cut in a country called India a very long time ago, maybe in the 1600s. In India, people liked the color and the size of the stone more than making it look perfectly straight or shiny. Harry Winston, the man who owned the necklace, gave it a very scary name. He called it the Spanish Inquisition necklace. He told people that it used to belong to royalty in Spain and France. But after some people did some homework and research, they found out that the story might not be true. Instead, they discovered that the necklace actually belonged to a powerful ruler in India named the Maharaja of Indore. He had a whole room full of amazing emeralds and diamonds. Later, his son sold the necklace to Harry Winston in 1947. Eventually, a woman named Cora Hubbard Williams bought it. When she died, she gave it to a museum called the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. today. You can go there and see it for yourself. It is now called the Maharaja of Indore necklace. It reminds us of a time when the size and the deep green color of a stone were the most important things in the world. As time went on, the way people thought about jewelry changed. Instead of old history, people started to care more about how big and heavy a diamond was. In 1970, Elizabeth Taylor went back to the Oscars. She was now married to a man named Richard Burton. They were famous for buying very expensive and giant things. That night, Elizabeth wore a diamond that was so big it was almost hard to believe. It was shaped like a pear, and it weighed more than 69 carats. That is a lot of diamond. It was so big and cost so much money that she had to have bodyguards follow her everywhere to make sure it was safe. People started calling it the Taylor-Burton diamond. The diamond started out as a giant rock in a mine in South Africa. When it was first found, it was as big as a small toy. After it was cut and made shiny, Richard Burton bought it for Elizabeth because he wanted her to have the best things in the world. At first, Elizabeth tried to wear the giant diamond on her finger as a ring, but it was just too heavy. It would flop over because it was so big. So a jeweler made a special necklace for it. The diamond hung right at the bottom of her neck, surrounded by even more diamonds. When she walked onto the stage in 1970, everyone was talking about that diamond. It became a symbol of how much she and Richard Burton loved each other, even though they had a very bumpy relationship. After they got divorced, Elizabeth decided to sell the diamond. She used the money to do something very kind. She helped build a hospital in a country called Botswana. She had visited that country and wanted to help the people there. So, the giant diamond that once sparkled at the Oscars ended up helping a lot of people get healthy. That is a pretty great ending for a piece of jewelry. Sometimes, a piece of jewelry is so important that nobody can really own it forever. In 2019, A singer and actress named Lady Gaga wore a diamond that almost never leaves its home. It is a giant yellow diamond from a company called Tiffany & Co. Lady Gaga wore a beautiful black dress and long black gloves, but everyone was looking at her neck. The yellow diamond she was wearing is one of the most famous diamonds in the whole world. It weighs more than 128 carats and is shaped like a shiny cushion. This diamond usually stays in a locked glass box in a big store in New York City. Very few people have ever been allowed to wear it. In fact, Lady Gaga was only the third person ever to wear it in public. This diamond is very old, too. It was found in a mine in South Africa in the year 1877. That was a long time ago, even before cars were common. The man who started the Tiffany company bought the diamond and decided to cut it in a way that made it extra sparkly. He didn't care about keeping it heavy. He just wanted it to be the brightest yellow diamond anyone had ever seen. For a long time, the diamond was just something for people to look at. The first woman to wear it was a socialite in 1957, but the most famous person to wear it was Audrey Hepburn. She wore it in 1961 for pictures to help people learn about her movie Breakfast at Tiffany's. Those pictures became very famous, and everyone started to associate the yellow diamond with the glamour of old movies. Over the years, the diamond has been put into different necklaces, but it always stays the star of the show. It is a diamond that carries over 140 years of history with it, which is why it was such a big deal when Lady Gaga wore it. Sometimes, the jewelry we see is like a secret message to the past. It might be a new necklace, but it looks just like something a princess wore a long time ago. We saw this happen with an actress named Emily Blunt in 2024. She went to the Oscars wearing a very cool dress and lots of diamonds from Tiffany, but her necklace looked very familiar to people who know about royal history. It had 3 rows of diamonds that looked just like a necklace that Princess Grace of Monaco used to own. Back in 1956, the people of Monaco gave Princess Grace a beautiful diamond necklace as a wedding gift. It was made by a company called Cartier. Emily Blunt's necklace was made by Tiffany, but it looked almost exactly the same. It was a beautiful way to remember the style of Princess Grace, even if it was a new design. It shows that her classic look is still very popular today. Another actress named Elle Fanning did something similar in 2025. She wore a look that made her look like she was from the 1950s. She had a white lace dress and a very tight necklace called a choker. This necklace was made in 1958 and came from a company called Cartier. It looked a lot like a piece of jewelry that belonged to a woman named Wallis Simpson, who was the Duchess of Windsor. Wallis was very famous for having some of the best jewelry in the world. Some people on the internet even thought that Elle Fanning's necklace might be a piece of a tiara that Wallis used to own. Wallis had a tiara that could turn into a necklace, and it had green emeralds on it. That tiara disappeared a long time ago. While we don't know for sure if it was the same piece, it was fun for people to guess. It shows that old jewelry still has a lot of mystery and excitement. The best kind of jewelry is the kind that tells a story about helping people or making the world better. In 2023, a young woman named Malala Yousafzai went to the Oscars. She's very famous because she fights for girls to be able to go to school. She wore a shiny silver dress and a pair of very old diamond earrings. These earrings were made in the 1920s in a style called Art Deco. But the most important thing was who used to own them. They belonged to a queen named Soria Tarzi. She was the queen of a country called Afghanistan 100 years ago. Queen Soria was a very brave woman. She wanted women in her country to be able to go to school and have their own hospitals. She was a leader who wanted to help people, just like Malala is today. Queen Soria and her husband had to leave their country because some people didn't like the changes they were making. But her memory stayed alive through her jewelry. When Malala wore those earrings, it was a very special moment. It connected 2 women who both worked hard to help girls and women, even though they lived 100 years apart. It was a way to remember a brave queen who is often forgotten by history. Malala's choice showed that jewelry can be a symbol of strength and courage. It wasn't just about looking pretty on the red carpet. It was about honoring the past and showing that the fight for education is still very important today. This is the kind of jewelry moment that really makes people stop and think about the world. Not every piece of jewelry has a perfectly clear story. Sometimes there are mysteries that never get solved. In the year 2000, an actress named Hilary Swank won a big award for her movie Boys Don't Cry. She was wearing a necklace that looked very old, like something from a painting of a royal lady. People started telling a story that the necklace was originally made for one of the daughters of the famous Queen Victoria of England. Everyone was very excited because it was a direct link to the British royal family. But as the years went by, people started to wonder if that story was actually true. In 2021, the necklace was sold at an auction. When the experts wrote about it, they didn't mention Queen Victoria at all. They said it was made around 1890, but they couldn't prove that a princess ever wore it. This happens a lot in the world of fancy jewelry. Sometimes a good story is more fun than the truth. The rumor about the princess made the necklace feel more magical. Even if we don't know for sure who owned it, the necklace is still a great example of how the Oscars can turn jewelry into a legend. When a piece of jewelry is worn on that famous red carpet, it becomes part of Hollywood history. Whether it really belonged to a princess or not, it captured the imagination of everyone who saw it. It reminds us that part of the fun of the Oscars is the mystery and the stories that we tell about the people and the things they wear. It is all part of the big show. From old crowns to simple pearls, the Oscars red carpet has given us many amazing moments to look at. Sometimes it feels like the red carpet is a temporary museum where we get to see treasures that are usually hidden away. These moments are what make the awards ceremony special to me. It is not just a show about who won a prize. It is a chance to see beautiful things and talk about history. I love how a single necklace or a pair of earrings can lead us to a story about an Indian king, or a brave queen, or a legendary movie star. It makes the whole night feel more meaningful and interesting. I hope you enjoyed learning about these jewels as much as I enjoyed talking about them. Now I want to hear from you again. Which jewelry moment from the Oscars do you remember the most? Do you remember seeing Grace Kelly or Elizabeth Taylor on TV? Or do you remember seeing some of the newer stars wearing historic pieces? I love reading your memories and finding out what you found most interesting. With the next Academy Awards coming up soon, I'm already getting excited to see what people will wear this time. Maybe we will see another famous diamond or a tiara that has been hidden for years. I will be watching very closely, and I hope you will be too. You never know what kind of treasure might show up on the red carpet next. This video was a little bit of an experiment for me. Usually I like to talk mostly about the jewelry that belongs to royal families like the ones in England or Monaco. Talking about Hollywood is a little bit different, but I think it is really cool to see where the world of royalty and the world of movies meet. I hope you had a good time following me on this little trip to the red carpet. If you did have fun today, please give this video a like. It really helps me out. And if you want to hear more stories about history and jewelry, please think about subscribing to my channel. I have many more stories to tell, and I would love for you to join me for the next one. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. It is always a pleasure to share these sparkly stories with you. Whether you are a fan of old movies, royal history, or just really shiny diamonds, there is always something new to learn. The world of jewelry is full of surprises, and the Oscars red carpet is one of the best places to find them. So, until next time, keep looking for the sparkle in the world and remember that every jewel has a story to tell. I can't wait to see you again for our next adventure in the world of history and high jewelry. Goodbye for now. The Academy Awards are about more than just movies. They are a celebration of art, fashion, and history all rolled into one. When we see a star wearing a historic jewel, we are seeing the work of artists from a long time ago. We are seeing the dreams of people who lived in different centuries. It is a way to keep the past alive and to show that beautiful things never really go out of style. Whether it's a giant 69-carat diamond or a simple string of pearls, these pieces of jewelry remind us that we are all connected to history. They are the glittering threads that tie our world today to the world of our ancestors. And that is why they are so magical to watch. When you think about it, a movie star wearing an old tiara is a bit like a bridge between two worlds. One world is the fast-paced, modern world of Hollywood where everything is about the newest and best things. The other world is the quiet, traditional world of history where things are valued because they have lasted for a long time. When these two worlds meet on the red carpet, it creates something really special. It's a moment where everyone stops to look at something that is truly timeless. That is the power of a great piece of jewelry. It doesn't just sit there and look pretty. It commands attention and it makes us think about where it came from and who might wear it next. Every time a famous diamond like the Tiffany yellow diamond comes out of the vault, it's a major event. It's like a famous celebrity making a rare appearance. People who love jewelry wait for years to see these stones in the light. They study the way the light reflects off the facets and how the color looks against different dresses. It's a very serious hobby for some people. But even if you aren't an expert, it's easy to see why these stones are so famous. They have a kind of fire and beauty that you just don't see every day. They are the masterpieces of the jewelry world, and getting to see them at the Oscars is a real treat for everyone. I also love the stories of the people behind the jewelry. Mike Todd giving Elizabeth Taylor a tiara because he thought she was a queen is such a romantic story. It shows that jewelry isn't just about money. It's about feelings and the way we want the people we love to feel special. Grace Kelly hiding her engagement ring under her gloves is another great story. It shows that some things are too special to share with everyone right away. These human stories are what make the jewelry truly interesting. Without the people who wore them and the reasons they wore them, they would just be rocks and metal. But with the stories, they become legendary treasures. The connection between Malala and Queen Soraya is another example of why history is so important. By wearing those earrings, Malala was honoring a woman who paved the way for her. It was a way of saying, thank you to the past. It shows that we can find inspiration in people who lived 100 years ago. Jewelry is a wonderful way to express who we are and what we believe in. It can be a quiet way to make a big statement. When an actress picks a specific piece of jewelry, she is often trying to tell us something about herself and the things she cares about. In the future, I wonder what jewels we will see at the Oscars. Maybe someone will wear a piece of jewelry that belonged to Queen Elizabeth II one day, or maybe a new diamond will be found that is even bigger than the Taylor Burton diamond. The world is full of hidden treasures just waiting to be discovered. And as long as there are big movie awards and red carpets, we will have a place to see them. It is a tradition that has lasted for many years, and I hope it lasts for many more. It gives us all something to dream about and look forward to every year. Thank you again for joining me on this journey through Hollywood and history. I hope you learned something new today and that you have a new appreciation for the shiny things you see on TV. Jewelry is more than just an accessory. It's a piece of our culture and our story. I look forward to bringing you more stories about the world's most beautiful and famous jewels. Have a wonderful day, and I hope your day is full of its own kind of sparkle and joy. I will see you very soon in our next video. Remember to check out the links in the description, and I'll see you then. As we finish our story today, think about the next time you see a piece of jewelry. Even if it isn't a giant diamond at the Oscars, it might have its own story. Maybe it was a gift from your mom, or maybe it belonged to your grandmother. Every piece of jewelry starts its own history the moment it is made. And who knows? Maybe one day, a piece of jewelry you own will end up in a museum or on a red carpet for someone else to admire. That's the fun thing about history. It's being made every single day by people just like us. Goodbye and see you next time.